Topical issue. Beer. Did you get me right? Beer. This is a topic that many people find interesting to talk about, and many people also hate to talk about it. It's interesting that we can have such a divergent view over a beverage. Others call it the devil's beverage. Others find it as a relaxing beverage. Beer is supposed to have started in the ancient times when men realized that some fruits, some grains, when kept over a long time, in liquid form or in a form that will make them be able to have a rise in the content, alcohol content, it will be used as a beverage. In the ancient times, where water could sometimes be contaminated, certain communities, most communities, not even certain, found beer as a welcoming beverage because many of the disease pathogens could not exist in beer. So beer was taken. There's no place in the world where there was no beer and where there's no beer. Where there was no beer and where there's no beer. Even in countries that forbid drinking, I think there is some level of people drinking. Why am I talking about beer? In the beginning, if you come to the Christian or Judaism religion, I don't know how deep this one was put. I know it from the Torah part of the Christian Bible. When the flood that had drowned everything except Noah's family, this is something we shall talk about again another time. Apart from Noah's family, Noah, after coming from the ark, grew grapes, grew many things, and he fermented grapes and made beer. So the first introduction of proper drinking of beer starts with Noah, where he drank and he lay naked, and you have the rest of the story. But every community had its beer and beer traditions. And beer was a beverage that people would relax with in the evenings. I used to be told by a late grandmother that beer was taken, as people grew up, even women would take beer and men would take beer. In our custom, in our tradition, there were two types of beers. There was one made from grains and was drunk like porridge, called busa. And there was one that was distilled, a whiskey kind of beer, called changa. In Uganda, it's called waragi. And this beer had no problem in the society. My dad liked this beverage. So when we were young, sometimes he'd come when it's high and give us a bit of Pascal, test. Just to test. And we were excited as children. And it's interesting. We never got to the level of taking that much, but some of us have taken a bit. You also, when I would take occasionally a bit. But as we were growing up, there was this story that beer was evil. Beer was sin. It came from the churches. And many people believed it. If you didn't take beer, then you are a good man or woman. If you took beer, you are evil. When I was a young boy, the school where I started, because I had to come to this province to learn mother tongue, and then went back to the town where I was born, Nakuru. And the school I started with was near a public place where beer was being sold. The porridge type, it was legal in Kenya. Busa. There's a school that started as a club, now it's a secondary school. Where we started working, I started schooling, was a polytechnic thing. We left the polytechnic thing, moved to another place. The school is there. People would take their beer and go home. One time I was talking with my dad about beer, and he told me, my son, these beers you see us buying from bars were illegal. I asked, illegal? He said, yes. During the time of growing up, the settlers had beers. The white settlers, the Kenyan settlers had beer. But there were laws governing beer. The bottled beer could not be bought by indigenous people. If you bought those brands of beer, you could not first be sold. But if you are found with that brand, unless you explained who from the settlers community had given you, you are liable for prosecution. That was beer. The church talked about beer, against beer. And then sometime when I was growing, there was a ban on beer, because this is when people saw, there are some people who were addicts anyway. When things started going wrong, the economy was not working right, some people took drinking as a solace. They'll be there in the morning, and you had to pull them from there. It was a misuse of beer. But we initiated, and many other countries initiated laws to ban beer, and especially local beer. And it has an impact, because people could not afford the bottled beer. The bottled beer first was owned by companies that were set up by the settlers. When they went, the rich citizens of these countries owned those factories, companies producing the beer. So it became a way of isolating other players, because beer is still legal. But then you cannot brew it unless it comes from the factory. So what happened is, because many people could not afford beer, people started brewing beer illegally, putting in many harmful chemicals, and that's what we have. We've heard of demonstration of people in places where men have drunk beer and they cannot stand up to their manly duties. This is something that has happened. There have been demonstrations like that. Others have become addicted, and they are sort they have become cabbages because of illegal chemicals being put in this. And many people say, get rid of beer. I was also of that notion in the beginning. But then the question is, these other brands of beers and whiskeys that come from abroad, that are produced in beer companies in this place, they are legal. Anybody can take with ease. But the local brew is illegal. You are arrested, and people always take ready to run like rabbits because they are committing a crime. It is very interesting that whiskey, waragi, and changa are the same thing. In fact, in America, when I was going through some things about that, there was a time when it was illegal. I don't know if it's still illegal. Changa is what they call moonlight whiskey. So it is whiskey. Or waragi, it's whiskey. So why should one whiskey be legal and another whiskey that is locally brewed, but nowadays is done illegally, be illegal? Why am I bringing this topic? A country like Uganda has learned to balance. I'm sorry I use Uganda as an example, but we have to bear with it because when people are ahead in some other areas, you can't resist. Ugandans did not ban the waragi. They have commercialized waragi. And what happens? People can brew. Waragi can be sold, and the other local brews can be used. In Kenya, we had mnazi, we had all those things. What has happened is, due to these restrictions, it has become adulterated, causing all these problems that we are having. Some people who would easily make a living by that skill, if the government would be able to look into it, don't make people run like rabbits for taking what they buy in the next bar, and they are honorable people. When I was growing up, these things were legal. The government had to see that what was done was above board, that what was used to brew was not harmful to the people. By then, there wasn't licensing for these local brews, but people would make local brews and take them in their villages, in their houses. You would not be arrested for taking a legal brew. I'm not encouraging drunkenness, but I'm saying this is a beverage. Excessive drinking is bad, but somebody taking a beverage model, they are taking. By the way, even when we are saying that it should be legal, it's bad. They are bars. There's beer. It's being sold from keg to whatever. It is beer. It's a beverage. Why should the country deny itself giving people something that can be clean so that it does not injure the lives of the people, then pretend that we have put it under control and then see people becoming cabbages because chemicals that are being used, the way that it's being made is terrible, is harmful to the health of the people. So people become blind taking those things, chemicals that have been used to adulterate. What was a beverage? I know religious people and those morally right are now looking at this man and wondering, wow, this one must have been sent from hell itself. No, I'm only being realistic. And why am I talking about this? In countries where religion came from, because mostly our Christianity came from Viking countries, take from Italy to Britain, Anglican is there, to America. Some of the modern denominations of Christianity come from there. Beer is a legal beverage. People take beer. But what is encouraged is you should not be addicted, you should not take excessive. There should be control, and the way it's brewed should be in a health status for humankind. The government can check on what is being used, just the way food is checked, just the way other things are checked, that it is something that can be consumed by people. There's no need of making people criminals for taking something that is made locally, and the same thing is being sold there, and they are honorable people just across, taking the same stuff. But the moment they jump to this, the same stuff on the other side, they are liable for arrest. Why am I talking like this? I'm going to start, please forgive me. I'm not talking this to insult. I'm talking this being realistic. Listen to me. For Christians who forbid beer, the first miracle Jesus did, it's written in the Bible, at the wedding of Cana. A miracle of love, because the mother had requested, his time had not come. They have gone to the party. And people have celebrated because in Israel, and Israel beer is not illegal, by the way. Those of us who pretend that we know where everything came, beer is not illegal. It's a beverage taken everywhere. And it was a beverage even within that those past time in Israel itself. So Jesus has gone to the wedding, and wine or beer has just gotten consumed and is finished. And people now, those who knew that Jesus had other capabilities that the rest of the people did not have, or a few people had, because also there are people who do some miracles those times and still did, approach the mother of Jesus and tell her, see, we've run out of beer. What do we do? And Mary goes to her son, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and tells him, we have a problem. And what is the problem? There's no beer. And Jesus tells her, that's according to the quotation in the Bible, woman, my time has not yet come. But because it is a request from one of the most close people, your mother, his mother, the mother goes away and tells those people who are there, Do as he tells you. And they come to him and he tells them, fill some jars with water. And they are filled with water. And what happens? He tells him, take to the tester, because alcohol and everything has a tester. And the tester sips and asks the people who have brought in that test, what's wrong with you people? Why should you give people a substandard brew while there is a high-class brew? You should have started with this brew, and when people are drunk, even if you gave them the substandard one, they wouldn't have noticed. But now they can't notice. This is high-standard brew. Without insulting, without appearing, being very, 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 very honest. The first miracle that Jesus did was to brew. Bible supports that. Bible supports that. Look at Tuscany Valley, Italy, near the Holy City. The Italian family lifestyle. Our sacrament. What is included? Yes, the very, very, very bad liquid we hate, beer. I'm not asking people to get drunk. I'm not asking people to be drunkards. But I have to talk about the truth. Truth is, this beverage has been with us, is with us, and will be with us. So, why should you destroy yours at the expense of foreign only? As we import foreign brews, let's make sure that we can have those who had the skills in this brew, those who could do it traditionally, follow an example of our neighboring country here, Uganda. Let these things be legal and have rules and regulations for the brewing industry, and still import the ones we like importing, and still allow factories that brew to brew, so that we don't undercut people and we don't injure the health of the drinkers. Because we have seen, even with all those crackdowns, they still drink, don't they? They do. That's why every now and then we are always destroying those things. So why not? Why have all that confrontation when in the beginning there wasn't that confrontation? There was a way of looking at these things, ensuring they adhere to certain standards, ensuring that these places of relaxation close at a certain time, ensuring that when somebody appears to be drunk to a certain level, he cannot be sold that beverage. He has the money, but the seller does not sell somebody when he exceeds a certain level. This is being done around the other countries. But I know here it's for competition, because it's the people with this who own the factories. Make it illegal. Make business boom. No, it's not about making business boom. This is about social life, the way the African social structure was, the way other social structures are worldwide. Let's do what is right, not only what is profitable. I know I'll get curses for this. I know I'll get accusations for this. Ask those who have been there in the past. Ask those who have moved around. This is about business control. It's not about health. No. We will be lying. Because if it were about health, we should also have banned the imported whiskey, the imported beer, no beer, totally no beer. Then we will say, we are doing it for health. We are doing it so that people don't overdrink. But now, you ban the same thing. And you're asking the factories to produce a factory version which is legal. A traditional version becomes illegal. Is the same thing. It's controlling business. Yes. Hate me. But truth be told, drunkenness is bad. Beer is not bad. Gluttony is bad. Food is not bad. Many people who purport to be clean, we come from a religion where beer is not taken. There's no religion where beer is not taken. I've just given you an example of the biggest, the best brewer ever from the religious point of view. Made the best control. That is my suggestion. I'm not saying that you do it. I'm not in a position that can be able to do that. But what I'm saying is, let's be real. Let's be ourselves. Let's not pretend we are solving a solution. We're giving a solution in order to get control. I'm not advocating for drunkenness. No. I am just saying, let us be real. That's my take for now.